Good evening. Looks like we're all ready to get started, so please be seated. I'm Fred Lummis, Chair of the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, and on behalf of the board, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2017 graduation ceremony. We're pleased you could join us for this special occasion, which marks an important milestone in the lives of the men and women who will graduate this evening. The Baylor Board is comprised of business, community, and healthcare leaders who are deeply committed to the success of Baylor College of Medicine. Like you, we take great pride in being part of an institution ranked among the nation's elite medical schools. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the Board of Trustees who are here with us this evening, and please hold your applause until they are all introduced. Barbara Albritton, Dr. Sarah Fauché, Melanie Gray, Mark Shapiro, a former chair of the board, and Chris Wallace. Please join me in recognizing them. Okay. Missing a page. Look at one. Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Okay, just a minor glitch. The Board of Trustees is committed to supporting educational programs at Baylor College of Medicine. 7 members of the board serve on our Academic Affairs Committee to assure that we are all well connected to both trainees and faculty. It's an honor for each of us to be part of a health sciences university that is training tomorrow's leaders in healthcare and research. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to offer best wishes to the graduates for much success as you continue in the next step of your careers. We look forward to celebrating your achievements as you become Baylor College of Medicine alumni. The greatest asset of an organization is its people, and this is an institution filled with outstanding people working together for success. Dr. Paul Klopman is now in his 7th year as President, CEO, and Executive Dean of Baylor. He has a great passion for excellence and is a visionary leader who understands the importance of academic medicine in our society. Will you please join me in welcoming Dr. Paul Klopman?
Well, it's wonderful to be here. The ceremony of graduation is really, really important. And you wonder why. It really represents the transition from being a student to entering your profession. And some of you are going to enter the field of direct patient care, and others will focus on medical research. But regardless of your career path, it's important to remember that the positive impact of medical science on mankind is a fact. It's not an alternative fact, it's a real fact that needs constant attention. People often think of medical science in the abstract, that research now will somehow lead to some vague breakthrough in the future, and it applies to future generations, not ours. The reality is totally different. Medical science affects every single one of us today, every day we're alive. To put this in context, in the time of the Roman Empire, over 2,000 years ago, the average worldwide longevity for humans was about 35 years of age. That did not change for 2,000 years. It didn't change until the 1850s. So what happened in a very short period of time that started to increase longevity at 3 years per decade? Well, it was then that the practice of science began to be integrated into the practice of medicine. Before that, the practice of medicine was mostly observation and prognosis. You'd see somebody sick, you'd predict how they would do. In the 19th century, the practice of medicine started using scientific method to answer medical questions and to develop interventions and treatments. Just a couple of examples. In the August of 1854, Dr. John Snow noted a dramatic increase in deaths from cholera in London. He carefully mapped where the cases were located in the city and determined that the Broad Street water pump was the most likely source of the disease. By simply removing the pump handle, making it impossible for nearby residents to get water there, cases of the disease began to wane almost immediately. Snow used a scientific method. Later, this would be called epidemiology, to pinpoint the source of disease, a source he could not name and could not see at the time. In 1850, Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician, used a control study design to show that hand washing could reduce fatal infections that were occurring in as many as 20 to 30% of women who gave birth in the hospital. His observations were later confirmed when the German physician, Dr. Robert Koch, established the field of microbiology and identified many of those organisms that were responsible for the deaths. Dr. Joseph Lister built on those previous discoveries and began to champion the use of antiseptics to reduce bacterial transmission in surgery. When this was applied to childbirth, these practices almost eliminated entirely infectious deaths from mothers and newborns from bacterial infections. In the 1860s, the French researcher Pasteur demonstrated that preventing bacteria from entering the human body could prevent sepsis. In addition to his work in bacteriology, Pasteur began to define the concepts of preventive vaccines, such as the one he developed against rabies. These medical advances began to move the longevity curve for humans upward at a rate of 3 years of life expectancy for every decade of medical advance, and it's never changed. As these early advances became standards of practice, new discoveries were required to continue this trend of increasing lifespan. Well, one of the major advances that was made by biologist Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin in 1928. This ushered in the era of antibiotics, which fueled additional years of longevity, continuing at that same pace, 3 years per decade. From the 1920s to the 1950s, vaccines effectively prevented most of the deadly infectious diseases that were present at the time: smallpox, diphtheria, pertussis, measles, influenza, and polio. More recent threats, such as HIV and hepatitis C, have been tamed by drugs, in fact, developed by one of our honorary degree recipients today. Today, the barriers to human longevity are no longer infectious, but are chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and stroke. These diseases are a direct result of the fact that we live longer, and these chronic diseases account for the majority of mortality today. Even recently, we've made tremendous advances in treating cardiovascular disease, and now more recently, cancer. Of course, because the current lifespan for humans now averages about 80 years and not the 35 years just over a century ago, this has led to a new epidemic of memory disorders, dementia, and neurodegeneration. Not surprisingly, much of the NIH's new focus is on diseases of the brain. Unfortunately, an unexpected new threat has emerged. That is society's lack of appreciation for all of the advances that we have made and the importance of science in our daily lives. There are now political threats to research funding and social threats to the importance of vaccines and to the primacy of scientific method in advancing evidence-based medicine. This is a very odd time in my life when society thinks that facts are fungible and science is just one of many perspectives. So this is not a time to sit back and hope that someone else solves these societal problems. This is a time for you to step up and tell people about your research, about the care you provide patients, and the medical treatments that patients often take for granted, how they were developed through medical research. Many of you participated in the nationwide March for Science. That was a great first step at being sure your voice is heard, but you cannot stop there. You have to become an advocate for medicine, for science, and for truth in your communities. So congratulations on today's achievement, but we need your voices and advocacy for medical science now more than ever. It's now my pleasure to turn the program over to Alicia Monroe, our Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic and Faculty Affairs. Dr. Monroe.
It is my pleasure to invite Alec Marin, representing the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, to offer remarks on behalf of tonight's PhD graduates.
We've done it. It's taken several years and an unforgivable amount of coffee, but we have finally defended our theses and submitted and published our manuscripts. We are now PhD-level scientists. This road, this process for me has been an arduous one fraught with late nights at the bench and many failed experiments. I know this for a fact because I have binders and hard drives full of images of empty Western blots and immunostains. But such is the life of the scientist. However, all that work, all that sacrifice, it was all for a single moment, that instance of pure discovery. I can remember those times when I looked down the oculars of my microscope and bore witness to something never before seen by human eyes, when after crunching the numbers on PRISM and that string of alphanumeric symbols flashed across my screen indicating that yes, indeed, the p-value is less than 0.05. To extract a fact, a bit of scientific truth from the ether of our nebulous universe and in effect expand the totality of human knowledge, that is the privilege, that is the joy of our lot. And now we're done, terminal degrees in hand, yet it's clear that we're far from finished. We have officially entered a global community that is ceaselessly shaping the scientific consensus. As the next generation of scientific investigators and educators, we stand to inherit and expand upon the very institutions that trained us, and in that process, potentially build our own. With this enormous privilege comes the burden of responsibility and the task of addressing the most pressing questions of our respective fields, departments, and universities, some of which transcend our own individual scientific interests. How do we promote scientific literacy to all sectors of our society, not just the most privileged amongst us? How do we advance gender and racial equality within the halls of academia? And finally, how do we address the disconnect that often exists between what we do in the lab and the society for whom ultimately our work is designed to help? Admittedly, these questions do not have easy solutions. However, I have no doubt that as professional problem solvers, no question is beyond resolution. And as your peer, I believe in our collective power to generate change both within and outside of the laboratory. With that, I'd like to extend my congratulations to all of the graduates, their families and friends. I'd also like to thank my parents, my brother, my family, and my partner Cynthia, who were kind enough to join me on this special occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marin. Now I would like to invite Ji-Win Lee, President of the Class of 2017, to share remarks on behalf of tonight's medical school graduates.
I'd like to dedicate these remarks to a fellow colleague, Nirthya, and two unforgettable teachers, Dr. Frank Kretzer and Dr. Bob Tallman. My fellow classmates, and dare I say it, fellow doctors, it is truly an honor to wrap up these 4 memorable years that we have shared together with some final reflections on all of our behalf. 4 years ago on this day, I, like many of you, was packing that last binder and pen into the remaining space of my trunk, really hoping that whatever key tool I would need to succeed in medical school, I had brought. Now, checking on Facebook, looking at the flurry of postings, we see that with all the supplies and books being sold by departing 4th years, the secret of becoming a good doctor really wasn't found in the book. It was found through 4 years of physical, emotional, and mental experience that we've taken day by day and step by step. I remember my first Dear Young Colleagues email from our beloved Dr. Goodman, and the first time that Dr. Kretzer endearly referred to us as hematopoietic stem cells, seemingly confident in our endless potential. Unknowingly, then we took our first steps, one step closer to becoming a doctor. I remember our last day of preclinicals, about 180 of us grinning for a photo, laughing, shoulder to shoulder on that staircase, hearts beating in parallel in nervous anticipation of our first day in clinics. Another start on becoming a doctor. I remember the first time that I cried, laughed, mourned, and cheered with a patient, my patient, when the fog of uncertainty seemed to have cleared, and I could finally sort of answer that pesky question, so what kind of doctor are you going to be when you grow up? And so one more step closer on becoming a doctor. Applications, interviews, handshake, and one fateful envelope later, we have arrived here. 1,408 days since we first boarded our bus on that orientation retreat. And suddenly, there are no more steps. We're here. We're doctors. So what's next? A longer white coat? Our own pagers? Or 5? Students who now look to us the same way that we looked to our upper levels just a few months ago. I know that I'm not alone in feeling this most familiar mix of excitement and dread, but I can now close my eyes and retrace my steps, and all those steps that we all took to get here come rushing back. A wise veteran attending once told me that the difference between us students and him is not knowledge, but experience that comes with practice, day by month by year. And now, we have experiences of our own, well, 4 years of it at least. This 4-year journey has taught us to think and to adapt, and to know when to ask for help when we need it. Kurt Vonnegut words it the best in explaining why we should not stress about our future, for your future will soon come to you and lay down at your feet like a loyal pet who knows and loves you no matter what you are. So let us make a promise to shower the love that the future has for us on our patients and on our colleagues, our friends and our families. The love that has sustained us to this point and will continue to nurture us on this next important step in our journey. I am truly proud to take my first steps as a doctor with you, my friends, the 2017 class of Baylor College of Medicine.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. It is now my pleasure to introduce our 2017 honorees who have provided outstanding contributions in education, healthcare, and research in their communities. Dr. Jim Phillips is Senior Associate Dean in the Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion at Baylor College of Medicine. He is an expert in advancing cultural diversity in post-secondary institutions and has been instrumental in helping recruit students from groups that are historically underrepresented in medicine to Baylor. Dr. Phillips has worked to provide students of all ages with opportunities to ignite their passion and extend their understanding of science and the health professions. He founded the Saturday Morning Science program at Baylor that is designed to motivate students from the inner city to reach their highest potential and reinforce the idea that college is not an option, but an obligation. The Saturday Morning Science also offered an opportunity for many graduate and medical students to come on Saturday and serve as mentors and teachers for these students. In recognition of his dedication to diversity and academic medicine, Baylor College of Medicine is honored to present Dr. James Phillips with the Distinguished Service Award for his devotion in recruiting and training the next generation of healthcare providers and scientists. Please help me in recognizing Dr. Phillips. It is now my honor to announce the recipients of the Baylor College of Medicine honorary degrees, which represent excellence in our missions and serve as an inspiration to our graduates. The people we chose to honor this year are tremendous leaders and advocates for their communities and are outstanding role models for all of us. Dr. Bischofberger, will you please join me? Dr. Bischofberger, please come forward. There we go. Dr. Norbert Bischofberger joined Gilead Sciences in 1990 as Director of Organic Chemistry. During his career at Gilead, he has held a number of leadership positions focused on research and currently serves as the Executive Vice President of Research and Development and the Chief Scientific Officer. In his role at Gilead, he is the scientific leader of a company that started its work in DNA chemistry and moved to becoming a leader in addressing serious viral illnesses, for which included HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and influenza. Dr. Bischofberger was one of the inventors of the antiviral drug Tamiflu, the first oral medication to treat influenza. Some people out there have had the flu. He led that team to develop that drug in the 1990s. The work by Dr. Bischofberger and the scientists at Gilead have made significant impact on the lives of children and adults worldwide with serious infectious diseases. He's authored more than 120 publications, and he is the inventor of 20 patents. Dr. Bischofberger is the member of several prestigious organizations, including the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Dr. Klopman, it is my extreme honor to present Norbert Bischofberger as the candidate for the honorary degree of the Doctor of Letters in Medicine.
So, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, I confer upon Norbert Bischofberger the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters in Medicine and admit you to all of its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations, Norbert.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to be recognized tonight by one of the best schools in the United States, the Baylor College of Medicine. I have spent my career evaluating potential therapies for severe and life-threatening conditions in areas of high unmet need, and I have seen incredible progress. As Dr. Klotman mentioned, HIV went from a death sentence to a chronic treatable disease. Hepatitis C can now be cured with one pill once daily in as short of a period as 8 weeks. But this is only the beginning. What we're seeing today is a confluence of very incredibly good technologies. Think about analytical technologies, genomics, proteomics, transcriptomics, along with development in IT, think about machine learning and artificial intelligence. This means that progress is not only going to continue, it will accelerate. And so for you, the graduates, this is an incredibly exciting time to launch a career in the biomedical sciences. And I wish you, from my heart, the same positive experience that I've had in my career. So good luck to you, and thanks again to the Baylor College of Medicine. Thank you.
Dr. Malhan, would you please stand and come forward? Dr. Malhan, Jyoti Malhan, knew from an early age that she wanted to become a teacher, and she was committed to serving students from diverse backgrounds. In 2003, she moved to the Houston area for a teaching job in a district where she learned about the struggles that children face who live in poverty. After serving in academic leadership positions in 2 Houston independent school districts, she was named the founding principal of the Baylor College of Medicine Academy at Ryan. a medical magnet school in the Houston Independent School District. Now in her 4th year as principal, she leads the school that is recognized in the local, state, and at the national level for high performance of the students and the faculty. This year, the school was named a National Magnet School of Excellence and one of the top 3 magnet schools in the nation by the Magnet Schools of America, and it was the only middle school named. Dr. Klopman, it is my distinct honor to present Jyoti Malhan as a candidate for the honorary degree of the Doctor of Humanities of Medicine.
I have to say, before I confer the degree, I visited the school 2 weeks ago, and I think it was a 6th grader beat me in chess in 3 seconds. And I'm still going to confer the degree. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, I confer upon Jyoti Malhan the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities in Medicine and admit you to all of its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
As I stand here today, humbled beyond measure on receiving this honor, I wish I was a scientist like my fellow honorees and could claim it all as just my own. But in actuality, this award is a result of the vision of the Board of Baylor College of Medicine, of Houston Independent School District, of the trust and belief of President Klopman and Superintendent Greer, and the unflinching support of Dr. Houlihan and Trustee Harris. It is also due to the professional training and support from the Center of Education Outreach at Baylor College of Medicine, the advice and ever-helping hand of the principal of DeBakey High School, and of course, the most amazing staff and teachers of the Baylor College of Medicine Academy at Ryan Middle School. The story of our unique middle school is being replicated under the leadership of the current superintendent, Carranza, in Houston, at the Baylor College of Medicine Biotech Academy at Rusk, and also in Union County Public Schools, North Carolina. I end with the hope that my students will one day be sitting amongst you Baylor College of Medicine graduates. Congratulations to each of you, the class of 2017, on this well-deserved honor.
Mr. Shapiro, would you please rise? Mr. Mark Shapiro is recognized in the Houston community as both an outstanding banking executive and as a respected community leader. Throughout his career, he's been dedicated to giving back to the community. Mr. Shapiro is a tremendous advocate for the Texas Medical Center, where he served as chair of the Board of Visitors of MD Anderson Cancer Center, and as the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Baylor College of Medicine. He led the Baylor Board during a challenging time, and through his visionary leadership, the college has become a stronger institution. He continues as a member of the Baylor Board and now chairs the board for our joint venture hospital, Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center. We are most grateful to Mr. Shapiro for his more than 25 years of dedication and leadership to the Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. Klopman, it is my honor to present Mark Shapiro as the candidate for the honorary degree, Doctor of Humanities in Medicine.
So upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me, the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, of which you are a part, I confer upon Mark Shapiro the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities in Medicine and admit you to all of its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe and Dr. Klopman. Apparently, I have hung out in the halls long enough and been around so many doctors that I'm now being confused with being a doctor and become an honorary one. I must say, though, in all those years, I've never lost respect for the real doctors and the real researchers who are making such a difference in our life, and the recent new graduates tonight who will make such a significant difference in our life. The work that Baylor College of Medicine and its faculty do has a huge impact on our life and on the lives of so many people around the world, and it's been a great honor for me to be associated with it all these years. Thank you very much.
Dr. Neve, will you please join me? Dr. Mark Neve is the Executive Vice President of Institutional Advancement at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. Prior to assuming the position in 2016, he served as the Chief Diversity Officer for the Association of American Medical Colleges. As Chief Diversity Officer for the AAMC, he provided strategic and programmatic leadership on issues surrounding community engagement, diversity, and health equity at universities, medical schools, and teaching hospitals across the United States and Canada. Dr. Neve has spent more than 20 years in academic medicine developing creative programmatic initiatives and innovative approaches to the mission of excellence in research, education, and patient care. He has served as the Chief Operating Officer and Treasurer for the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation, which fosters innovation in health professional education and aligns workforce training with dynamic patient needs. Dr. Neve is recognized nationally for his work in developing innovative programs, advancing diversity and inclusion that truly change the culture of institutions and the perspectives of the faculty, staff, and trainees. Dr. Klopman, it is my distinct honor to present Dr. Mark Neve as the candidate for the honorary degree, Doctor of Humanities in Medicine.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, I confer upon Mark Neve the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities in Medicine and admit you to all its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. Thank you, Dr. Klotman. It is truly an honor to receive such a wonderful degree from this fantastic institution. I've known this institution for many years, have gotten to see it up close over the last several years, even visited the wonderful middle school here supported by the institution, and certainly witnessed the DeBakey High School. It is just phenomenal work that you're doing here, and truly an honor for me to participate in this fantastic event this evening. So remind me, do I have 60 minutes or 90 minutes? Oh, no. I have 10 minutes to address the graduates. And I plan to not just address the graduates, but I want to address everyone here in this audience, because we're all part, certainly you are part of the success that you see sitting before you this evening. So here you are on graduation day. For me, I personally love this time of year. It's a time when we as administrators and faculty members get to sort of share in the fantastic work and support that your family has provided to you, and we get to share in the smiles that all of you have on your faces right now, and will have even bigger smiles later tonight when your degrees are conferred. This is a time to celebrate family, friends, and love, support and caring that they have all given to you. The love and support is clearly palpable. I can see it as I look out this evening. What I hope to achieve in literally 10 minutes, which is to just give you some insight from my own experience working for medical schools and teaching hospitals over the last 20 years. The feeling that all the students have, beside tonight feeling the love and care that you have, what you really feel, I know, is relief. So I want all the medical students and all the PhD graduate students to just take a moment and take a deep breath. Just recognize what you've accomplished. You've heard from at least 2 of your peers tonight, and just think about the amount of hours that you've put into this point. And then think about tomorrow when you wake up and you will realize how much more work you have to do. I really do congratulate all of those receiving their degrees. It is the end of a challenging but rewarding chapter in your lives, and certainly the first page of a new story yet to be written. I want to acknowledge all of the loved ones of the graduates. You've gathered to cheer them on, but you've been an integral part of their experience, and you'll continue to play a vital role in the years to come. Thank you for all that you do. If I can ask the graduates to give a round of applause to all of their loved ones in the audience. As you've heard in my bio, I've spent much of my career in academic medicine with a special focus on advancing health equity. I am constantly searching for innovative ways to leverage diversity and inclusion to advance our pace to better education, faster discoveries, and ultimately, and most importantly, to improve care and the prevention of illness. I firmly believe it is because of our differences of thought, disciplines, heuristics, passion, and ambition that we will find the cure for cancer, or we will find the cure to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. It is because of our individual differences of passion, curiosity, life experiences, and personal attributes that we will also find more artful ways to care for patients, to care for communities. And it is not despite of our differences, it is because of them. You are fortunate to have spent the last 4 or more years here at this institution, at an institution that really gets it. The leadership here at Baylor College of Medicine knows and understands the hard truth that there is still a painful and persistent gap in medicine for those who are the most disenfranchised among us. There is still disparity in how we administer health care to certain populations. Talking about it is no longer sufficient. We need to move from conversations about health equity to concrete plans to change things. That change starts with you. And I know you are equipped, in large part because of the education you received over the last several years. Baylor College is described as having an explicit community engagement mission, a 4th mission, if you will. Service is part of everything you are doing, including your very first day here at orientation. When I asked Dr. Klotman to tell me a little bit about this class and what makes you so special, well, first he said they're really smart, smarter than any other class. Then he said they were better looking, and I said, okay, now seriously, what separates this class? It's true, looking out on the audience. He didn't hesitate at all, and he said it is their passion for community service. He noted this was a very special class of MD and PhD graduates. He shared that MD students participated in the annual Matthew Carter Service Day, honoring the memory of a fellow medical student by serving organizations across the Houston community, from the AIDS Foundation to the Center for Hearing and Speech to the Houston Humane Society. I learned that the Latino Medical Student Association on campus is actively engaged in community service, primarily in the Houston Latino communities. I was told that the PhD students participated in this year's March for Science. Thank God you did. We need more marches for science. Volunteered in schools and worked as mentors with vulnerable populations. It is wonderful to see all of you lifting others as you climb, caring for people who look or don't look like you. That is what a true leader does. Despite all of your good work, I do have 3 additional requests of you. I want to remind every graduate in this room is here because someone encouraged you to pursue a medical degree or a PhD in the sciences. It might have been a high school biology teacher, your parents, a doctor, or other medical professional, even a personal mentor. Someone somewhere said, you could do this, and you did. You now have the opportunity to be that someone for somebody else. Look in your own life and in the community where you choose to live, and find these opportunities. Look especially to the overlooked, to the young men and women who might think that the color of their skin or the size of their bank account or both somehow disqualifies them from a career path, from this career path that you have chosen. Help them find the resources. Tell them that it is possible. Tell them that their presence and their voice is critical to changing how medicine is both delivered and received. The second thing I want you to do is to embody the passion and compassion in your work going forward. This campus has done a great job of offering you ways to understand complex issues. I've seen the signs around campus and know that a leading value of Baylor College of Medicine is we promote and support diversity and inclusion and equity. Throughout your time here, you've participated in those efforts to improve those areas in terms of the campus workforce and your own training and in your community service efforts that I mentioned. You've heard from nationally renowned speakers on disparity in healthcare. Many of you did clinical tracks like Care for the Underserved or Women's Health or Global Health, or even ethics in which these issues come up. And you've worked to embody those principles. But now it's time to apply those principles in the real world. I say this to you from a professional perspective because I know this will dramatically improve healthcare and, again, the way that it's delivered. But I also say this to you from a personal perspective. Numerous studies show that as a black man in America, I am more likely to be treated differently in a healthcare setting. Black patients are more likely to die in an intensive care unit. They are often undertreated for pain. Physicians are more likely to stand farther away, make less eye contact, and cross their arms when speaking and listening. They touch black patients less. In many instances, the physicians and administrators and support staff all missed a significant opportunity to show compassion, empathy, and caring through a nonverbal communication because of the skin color of their patients. And before you think, that won't be me, I know better, let me add that these studies have been done throughout the United States and with experienced practicing professionals who have worked in medicine for decades. No one is exempt from bias. We are all prone to making snap judgments about people based on their superficial or group characteristics, unless we make a conscious effort to avoid them. Sometimes all it takes is taking one extra minute to remember that the patient is not a collection of statistics or symptoms. They are not a revenue source or a line item on a budget. They're not even the test case that will be the feature of your next journal article. They are a vulnerable human being that needs you to treat them as such. As the author and poet Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. My third and final point is to take care of yourselves because you can't take care of others as well as you would like to if you yourself are hurting. I know in a graduation speech I'm supposed to be inspirational, but I also want to keep things real for all of you. There will be days ahead of you when taking that minute or two with a patient will seem downright impossible. You may be overwhelmed by work, by electronic medical records and charting, by trying to balance a clinical schedule with research demands and a neglected personal life. Emotional exhaustion can creep in and take its toll. I don't think it's any secret that some or all of you, or all of that, can be the reality of your chosen profession. At some point in your own career, you will hear the word burnout. I know this because I've seen the studies, and I've also seen the manifestation of it in my friends and colleagues who are physicians and researchers and other health professionals. What I also see in those who are successful is a high level of resilience. They acknowledge those challenges I spoke of, but they overcome them through their passion for their work. They have a genuine sense of purpose and ability to relate to others and support networks both in and outside of the hospital or clinical environment. They look back to moments like this one and remember the reasons they pursued a career in medicine or research. Many keep binders of their patient successes and thank you notes from families. They track the long-term impact of their research. They think of everything that they do for people, and those moments when holding a patient's hand changed a relationship. As you go towards residency and eventually practice, or pursue an administrative post or a lab of your own, hold on to that whole picture. The specialized knowledge that you've acquired has a limited shelf life. We just heard that. The science will change. It will advance. New treatment options and approaches will emerge. But what will not change is your ability. In fact, your responsibility to lend dignity to others, to give compassion in a time of vulnerability, to act ethically, and to help others in need. Remember the values that your Baylor experience has taught you. Share them with your colleagues as you go forward. Stay engaged in the issues as you've experienced them the past 4 or more years. Healthcare needs concerned physician leaders as never before. It needs researchers and administrators who look up from the data and focus on patient care. And as Baylor graduates, you have experience and perspective that medicine and our nation so greatly need. Years from now, you probably won't remember who spoke at your graduation. You've sat through a lot of pomp already today and are probably ready to get on celebrating with family and friends. But I want to leave you with a message I hope you will remember. Think back to the determination, courage, and focus that compelled you to choose to go to medical school or graduate school and pursue this rigorous career path. Use that same courage to make good on your ethical obligations to continue to improve health and opportunity for all. Continue to create a better and healthier society. Today, the tears of joy from your loved ones come not from the fact that you have now earned the title of doctor, but because you care enough about people and their health that you have committed your life to caring for them. And remember, that is why you chose healthcare in the first place. Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you on such a momentous day. Congratulations to each and every one of you and your family and friends who have supported you along the way. I wish you all the best. Godspeed.
Thank you, Dr. Neve, for your inspiring remarks. At this time, I would like to recognize our graduates who have also completed educational certificate tracks. Please hold your applause until the groups have been introduced. Graduates, please stand as I call your group and remain standing. Diploma in Tropical Medicine, National School of Tropical Medicine. Care of the Underserved, Ethics, Genetics, Geriatrics, International and Global Health, Medical Management, Medical Student Research, and Space Medicine. Please join me in a round of applause. You may be seated. Now, Dr. Adam Cuspa, Interim Dean of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, will present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. Mr. Loomis, Dr. Klotman, Dr. Monroe, and Dr. Butler, I have the high honor and privilege of presenting to you at this time the 77 candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. These candidates have satisfactorily completed all of the requirements for the PhD degree, including a research dissertation describing new biomedical knowledge derived from their unique discoveries. On behalf of the faculty of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, I'm pleased to recommend that you confer upon each candidate the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and admit them to all its rights, responsibilities, and privileges.
So upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and admit you to all the rights and responsibilities and privileges. Before we begin the presentation of diplomas, I want to take just a moment to recognize Mr. John Rapp, who is the Senior Director of Student Affairs. He is responsible for introducing all of the graduates. Tonight's ceremony is his 25th year in this role, and for parents, as you listen to him get every single student's name correctly pronounced, you'll understand how gifted this man is. So can we get a round of applause for Mr. Rapp? And finally, just one last thing. You know, these ceremonies were all dressed up. You know, there are times in academics where a great deal of decorum is required. I know you're all excited, but I just want you to know this is not one of those times. You can scream and yell as much as you want. There's no problem. I expect you to. So have fun.
Or be Amin. Tristan J. Bodine. James Christopher Campbell. Jijan Cao. Angela Nicole Carter. Matthew R. Collinson Potts. Adatutu Agoshola. Joseph Mario Fascini. Tiffany Chantel Fleet. Daniel G. Fuja. Mark Patrick Hamilton. Antonor Othrell Hitton, Jr. Benjamin Daniel Horstein. Sean Ting Shi. Amy Marie Hurwitz. Akash Kumar Kaushik. Robert Lane Cruz. Kyle Joseph Lewis. Tong Chao Lee. Angel Yvette Lopez. Heng Yu Liu. Miguel Alejandro Marin. Danielle Mendoza. Jacqueline Bravo Murray. Jen T. Quinn Wynn. Derek Stephen O'Neill. Chitali Pradhan. Ann Pepper Quick. Joe Patrick Quiros. Justin Michael Roberts. Perla Janet Rodriguez. Jasdeep Sabharwal. Rebecca San Martin. Laura Louise Satterfield. Michelle Lynn Seymour. Yi Shen. Maria Magdalena Schwartz. Rajiv Babu Taja. Zheng Wen Tian. Margot Wentendorf. Lin Kin Young. Ran Yu. Xiaotian Zhang. Li Zhao.
Joe Cass, Associate Dean of Student Affairs, will now administer the oath of Hippocrates.
So it is my great honor to invite the 2017 medical school graduates of Baylor College of Medicine to stand and recite the Hippocratic Oath along with me. And I also invite all other physicians in attendance to stand and recite the oath once more as a symbol of their enduring commitment to the values the oath embodies. I do solemnly swear, by whatever I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, that I will lead, that into whatsoever home I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick and the well to the utmost of my power, and that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and from corruption and from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease, and will give no drugs and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, and far less suggest such a thing. Of the lives of men which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine, the opposite if I shall be forsworn. Congratulations.
Good evening. Mr. Lummis, Dr. Klopman, Dr. Monroe, and Dr. Butler. I have the high honor and privilege of presenting to you at this time the candidates for the degree Doctor of Medicine. They have satisfactorily completed all the requirements for the degree. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I am pleased to recommend that you confer upon each candidate the degree of Doctor of Medicine and admit them to all its rights, responsibilities, and privileges.
You know, she said recommend. You know, and I don't have to take the recommendation, just so you know. So I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking the parents will all kill me if this doesn't happen quick. So, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Baylor College of Medicine, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Medicine and admit you to all its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Jorge Luis Aceves. Such an Alabadi with highest honor. Alejandro Lee Alonso. Gabriela Michelle Austin. Antera Bannock. Megan Amelia Berry with honor. Sahil Bhatta. Taylor Ann Bell. Jeffrey Mark Bergeron, Jr. Stefan Besada. Rocky Chang Browder. Samuel Granger Buck with high honor. Catherine Renee Cadwell with honor. Kaylee Danielle Kaplan. Anjali Prabha Chedayamuri. Joseph Cruz Chavarria. Chung Jia Justin Chen. William Tin-Shing Choi. Angela Christine Chung. John Michael Cochran. Claudia Eileen Collins. Sarah Jane Commander. Patrick Sean Connell. Jeffrey Sean Corson. Natalie Craig. Rebecca Kong Cross. Sean Michael Cullen. Pravna Dadic. Timothy Mark Dale with honor. Evan Michael Dalton. Bradley Stephen Daniels with high honor. Ryan Maxwell Dickey with honor. Ramon Diaz Barrasco, Jr. Sydney Celeste Dittman. Caitlin Ann Duty. Neil Mark D'Souza. Timney Nathan Dunn with highest honor. Danielle Uchina Herrera. Hannah Catherine Ehrman. Megan Lee Esteb. Danielle Lee Evans. Andra Molina Farkas with honor. Sarah Marie Fish. Erin Emily Flattery. Aaron Yuhua Fong. Michael David Font. Juliana Giller Gardner. Syed Omar Galani. Jordan David Gisman. Malia Shea Gresham. Emily Guo with honor. Jason Evan Hale. Nadia Hamoud. Kareem Baher Haroon. Paul Housecadet with high honor. Caroline Kathleen Hawes. Georgine Ellen Hergenroder with honor. Alexandra Madeline Hill with high honor. Robert Connor Holton Burke with high honor. Jennifer Ming Chi Say. Tiffany Yating Su. Yuan Yu Michael Huan with honor. Tiffany Chidera Ikwagu. Garrett Lee Jensen. Andrea Michelle Jimenez. Douglas Haoxing Jin. Mark Allen Jones. Rahul Sadakar Kamuk. Holland Manon Kaplan. Kylie Lee Klein. Jenna Kong. Kayla Ray Cum with highest honor. Dana Marie Larson with high honor. Erica Lay. Ji-Wen Lee with honor. Catherine Kaixing Lee. Michael Guan Yu Lee. Sharon Cheng Lee. Krishna Shen Liao. Matthew E. Liao. Emily Grace Lynn. Jeffrey Taza Lynn with high honor. Melinda Liu with honor. Jose Octavio Maleve. Maria Elizabeth Maldonado. George Ross Malik. Rathika Reddy Malapalli. David Paul Martin II. David Samuel Mathai. Paola Andrina Matthews with honor. Grant Ross McChesney. Tyler John McElwee. Mark Francis McLaughlin. Jesse Dean Mike with highest honor. Michael Alexander Medeiros. Casey Ray Medina. Emily Ann Middlebrook. Cody Wayne Moore with honor. Claire Kathleen Maurice. Jacqueline Marie Munoz. Mary Antoinette DeLumpa Moico. Julie Kim Nguyen. Stephanie Vunin Nguyen. Twin Home Nguyen. Stephen Alexander Manning. Amir Hussein Nikad. Chloe Eleanor Nunnally with highest honor. Gabriel Gerardo Wawaka. Ndidi Chima Okeke. Marissa Paola Orbia. Yafe Oyeng. Ramola Ponchel. Naveen Patisipu. Valerie Picher. Ashley Aaron Pessy with high honor. Todd A. Petsy with honor. Rachel Elise Ferdehert. Ernest Robert Puckett with honor. Cameron Mark Pywell. Ahmad Asaf Quadir. Renzong Ren. Avni Rethatha. Sean Padira Reddy. Luis Felipe Rodriguez with high honor. Patricia Jeanway Rodriguez. Daniel Ruiz Jr. Murtaza Saifi. Cody James Sanderson. Alexa Michelle Sasson. Alexander Martin Saucedo. Justin Allen Smigall. Amanda Christine Scully. Hazel Dionon Severino. Kevin Lou Shen. Zachary Lee Shepard. Imad Shah Siddiqui. Daniel David Simons. Eileen Ruggles Smith. Tyler Gibson Smith. Alfred Song. Thomas Edward Stout with high honor. James McKay Suggs III. Kevin Scott Lipschultz Sweetwood with highest honor. Arum Cham Juf. Tommy Mon Jun. Jeffrey Gerard Trost Jr. with high honor. Jake Lennon Valentine. Libya Mercedes Vasquez. Meredith Jean Ventura. Mitchell Thomas Walton. Miranda Wong. Claudia Yu Yao Wang. William Chad Whitley. Austin Kyle Williams. Meredith Catherine Wise with honor. Susan Theodore Shea. Jeremy D. Yang. Ashok Paparo Yeramseti. John Henry Zyder Jr. Hal Hashwan Zhang. Ray Zhang. Yan Zhang.
And everywhere you go, you will represent the Baylor College of Medicine. Now go out and continue to make us proud. Please stand for the benediction by Dr. Virgil Fry,
PhD and MD of Baylor College of Medicine. We are mindful of their focused commitment that brought them to this evening's culmination. We honor them for tenacity, for sacrificial devotion of time, learning the multiple intricacies of the human body, a body rife with endless possibilities and potential for engaged goodness, and a body precariously vulnerable to diseases and violence of every sort that limit, impair, and sometimes end life. Be with each graduate's spirit of compassion that brought them to this place. Prompt them with needed energies and renewed desires to serve when weariness, external policies, or inner frustrations dominate their well-learned caregiving skills. With Thanksgiving, we honor parents and families, partners and friends, faculty, donors, and staff, all who have journeyed with each student, making the sacrifices and needed support possible, culminating in this celebratory evening tonight. Walk with each of us as we depart this place. Help us to learn better how to devote ourselves to the one eternal presence that matters most, the love of you and the love of humankind, especially in those moments when we deem humankind unlovable. Bless us this night and for the duration of our lives on this earth. Through all the ways you are made known, we pray. Amen.
So at this time, I'd like to ask our graduates to exit the auditorium to the lobby to meet family and friends. Will the audience please remain in place until the graduates have exited? Thank you very much.